Hey guys, welcome to another roundtable discussion with Redfin, our favorite agents on the planet Earth. Is that true, Marcia, right?
Number one, numeral.
Absolutely. And we
Yeah.
happen to have two great agents from Redfin with us today, representing the wonderful state of Washington and state of Hawaii for our roundtable discussion. Hi, Joy. Hi, Sloane. How are you guys?
Good.
Hey, good. Good morning.
Nice
Good
to see
morning.
you both.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
You
too.
guys are perennial here, and we really appreciate you showing up every couple weeks to answer questions that our audience is asking. So thanks for
Mhm.
that. And speaking of questions, Marcia, what is the question of the day for our topic for today?
Okay, well, I'll preface this by saying ever since COVID, remote work seems to have become quite popular. And so, how has that, the ability to work remote, influenced real estate prices and demand in your area? Joy.
Hi. Yeah, pleasure to be here. So it's a very interesting topic because ever since COVID happened, I thought, like the whole real estate is going to be quiet down and, kind of dead. But it's the opposite because, people can work from home. So you kind of see the wave of people running away from Seattle downtown to like remote area like Whidbey Island, San Juan Island, and, people are just looking for the life or the spaces they can get in those areas. So you see the price of the properties in these areas is like jumped and like beating up. And now since beginning of this year, the mandate for say Amazon, those high tech company is like 5 days return to office. So you see the real estate like in those like area used to be hot, now it's like cooling down so much and then people are just kind of waving back to close to the Seattle metro area, so because they have to return to the office, right? So you definitely see more real estate like properties going to the price is going up definitely in the area now. So it's kind of interesting to reserve this kind of phenomena. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And how does Hawaii compare with that, Sloan? Are you finding the same thing over there?
I think everybody wants to come to Hawaii and work remotely. That is a dream, right? And I'm just with this, when I saw this question, I was thinking about my recent um, clients, and I'd say closer to 80 to 90% of them have one, if it's a couple, one of them works remote. I see this a lot with our military families. um, the wife or the spouse or the partner has a remote job, which actually allows their purchasing power to be a lot stronger. So I don't know if that correlates to Hawaii real estate in general. I just think what we've seen since COVID with companies that are allowing um, allowing work from home, right? Remote situations. It allows more flexibility. It allows people to relocate easier and still maintain that purchasing power that they have because they still have a two household income. I see a lot of times too that these remote jobs, um, they seem to uh, pay well, or they're in industries where the income generated is a lot higher than if they were to move to Hawaii, right, and get that same type of job here. It's, you can see what our the numbers are for Hawaii. Probably it's not going to pay as much as this remote job that they're bringing from Seattle. I have several clients that still work in Seattle and go back and forth, and they're in tech, and now they have a second home in Hawaii. So, anyways, I just think that it has in general created this ease of people to be in two places, three places, four places at once. I just had a client that is a doctor and is looking for a second home on Kauai. And one of her things was, can I sit out here and do telehealth? Like, I'd like to sit on a looking, overlooking the ocean or have a view while I see patients. So that's the world that we're living in. And it's hard to say about value in Hawaii if that's what we're talking about, because I think, Hawaii is what Hawaii does. So yeah.
So does that mean, are you uncertain, Sloan, then whether that's impacted the price points in Hawaii, that there are more
Yeah,
people who can work remote?
I think it's increased ultimately supply and demand. So, right, it's like yeah, sure. If there's more demand, then, but then we have supply, and all of those factors still play in. I just think, though, that it's one of the factors. I don't think it is. I don't know how, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know how to directly correlate it with an increase in price that would, say, oh yeah, it's because people can work remote. Um, Maybe that's too nuanced. I feel like what it's definitely done is allowed people to have Hawaii be more of a choice, which maybe does up demand, and you know, and that correlates. But I don't know. I think what I'm saying is there's always a demand for Hawaii real estate, and I see that a lot of people that are looking into second homes or relocating have remote jobs.
All right. So, Joy, what we're saying is we have a buyer here that has greater flexibility, and I
Yeah.
tend to agree with what Sloan says. Those buyers that have their remote jobs sometimes have higher income at the same time. So, do you see that you have that kind of buyer that, and is there a particular area in Washington State that's more desirable, that you're getting more buyers in that particular area, like San Juan Islands or Anacortes like that, and that's driving up the price points in those specific areas?
Yeah, well, so it used to be the Seattle downtown condos are very hot and popular, right? So now I'm seeing like slow, sometimes they even reduce the price in downtown, and where those buyers go. I mean, they still go to, then it still need proximity to the city. So what Amazon, Expedia, those big corporate, they have like a shuttle community buses, like, like north up to Snohomish County, say, Linwood, Edmonds, Mill Creek, Bothell, those areas. So, you know, like those young buyer, the first time home buyers, they might look for, bigger spaces. So instead of condo, they might come here for the townhome and like, single house home. And, so those like you still have the shuttle bus to commute, like, so they feel like it's ease on their commuting time. And plus, we have like light rail too. It takes like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, for the light rail from this area, from Linwood to downtown. So you kind of ease the mind of the traffic jam. So people like, looking for, the buyers are like, instead of in downtown Seattle, they are now looking for north or even south, like where they can easily commute and they can have like bigger spaces. So definitely, you see the price, change in this area. So the whole demographic, everything, the geographic is like all changed. Yeah. So that's what I see.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Marcia, we should probably just touch on financing a little bit. So, do you find that it's more difficult to finance borrowers who can work remote, or is there any change just for our audience? If they, what do we require from a financing perspective for them to prove that they can do their job in a remote manner?
Well, I love this question, and I love the whole remote ability to work remote because it has opened a lot of doors for borrowers. So we as a lender, you're coming from the mainland, you have a job, you're going to come to Hawaii, and if you had to quit the job and start a new job, that really complicates the lending piece of it because we're going to, is it in the same industry? Are you salaried? And blah, 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 blah. So if your employer is going to allow you to work remote, we will ask your employer to validate that with a ability to work remote letter, validating that they're okay, that they moved to Hawaii and still work remote. And it just makes the mortgage process and approval process so much easier. So it's, as long as the employer validates, that's okay. We're okay with that income.
There you go. So all you remote people there, you have a couple of agents here, and we're happy to show you places in their respective areas that you want to live. And as Marcia said, as long as you can convince us that you can do your job and work remotely, we're fine with that from a lending perspective. Are there any other sides of this topic that we haven't talked about, guys, that you want to bring up at all?
I mean, I feel like, for those remote workers, they might look for the more, they are kind of semi-retired. So maybe they have that purpose in mind, like, for the second property, or say they want to retire in Hawaii. So now they allow you to remote. So maybe, they might just, hey, might as well just look for the retired like second property, right? So maybe that's one. I mean, I have one client like that situation. They have a downtown condo and they want to buy somewhere like, more remote or maybe close to Canadian border. So they just purchased a second home in Anacortes. So they can kind of back and forth, like, they have a long weekend, like maybe, today's Thursday. So they can start, living their second home, like, in Anacortes. And then by Monday, they can come back to condo, like in downtown Seattle. So, you have the best of two worlds here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Any closing comments at all on our topic today, or do you want to add to it?
Yeah, well, so comes to investment or, real estate, location, right? So you have to, focus on the location you want, not like the house you want, because location is where it's very unique. You cannot change down the road, but every case is different, and we're happy to chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Go ahead,
Any
Marcia.
parting thoughts from you, Sloane?
Oh yeah, no, I'm like agreeing all the way. I think, yeah, yeah. Location, work from
Location.
home, work from Hawaii, work from Seattle. The flexibility, I think, has really helped all, so many people, and we see it a lot in Hawaii. And yeah, it's great.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, ladies, and answering this great question. And guys, you're on YouTube audience. If you want to get a hold of either Joy or Sloane, you check out Washington State or Hawaii, two great states. Reach out to them with the contact information, which is going to be on the screen for our video. So give a like to the video. We always appreciate that. Pass along to somebody else that's wondering about remote purchasability, and we appreciate you. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
today.
Bye, guys.